It's time to defend one of the most controversial ships in Miraculous that shouldn't be controversial. Because I'm tired of y'all making shit up to villainize them just because you don't like them for whatever reason. They've become the most hated ship in the fandom to like. Disliking a ship is okay, I get it, but straight up gaslighting others to make it sound like the most problematic ship to ever exist and make everyone hate it too with shit that never happened in the show is crazy, and we feligami warriors will not be tolerating that. If you dislike them because it was too rushed, well then you must not like any ships in Miraculous Ijbal. But that's on you, I guess. That's not harming anyone, and I'll agree it happened fast as hell, just like 99% of the ships in the show. But the shit I've heard from feligami antis is actually crazy. So I'll debunk all that today. Starting off strong with the feligami incest allegations. I can't tell you how tired I am of having to explain this shit to people. Every time someone talks about feligami there's always these motherfuckers who say they're incest. Like, look at this shit. Worms for brains. Are y'all slow or just really stupid? But Dan, how the fuck did this start? Because Felix called the Red Moon, who's a senti, his sister, and he's a senti too, and so is Kagami, so they're all sisters apparently. Honestly, if you say this you're basically saying you don't know how sentis work, and the entire point of emotion and Felix's arc went right over your head. Some of you watch this show blindfolded and on mute because there's no other way you came to that conclusion. For one, that's not how sentis work. So let's start with understanding the basics of sentis. I'll say it in baby words because apparently you won't get it otherwise. Senti is not a breed, it's a state. You can't put all of them in one box because they're all different breeds. Like there can be senti humans, senti animals, senti insects, whatever. You can't put them all in one box, just like you can't put humans and other breeds in one box. Like senti humans would go with the humans, senti animals would go with the animals, etc. I don't know why that's such a difficult concept for y'all to grasp. If you still don't get it, what's the closest thing I can compare the peacock Miraculous to that we got in real life? Cloning maybe? Probably not the best analogy because right now as of speaking clones wouldn't live long, which I guess can be applied to some sentis too? But if you successfully cloned a cat or a human they'd be the same as any cat or human. The cloning machine would just be the circumstance of their birth. Better examples, it's like saying all kids born through FIV are related. They'd still be the same as any other kid, just not created the same way. This is actually something Thomas Astruc has said himself too. You know it's serious when he stops fucking around trolling and jumps on Twitter to clear senti-related shit up. Probably the only time he's not being a bitch? Anyways. I don't know who told y'all all sentis are related? The peacock is the circumstance of their birth. Sentis can only be related to each other if they were created to be related to each other. Same thing as any other human? Like for example Felix and Adrien being cousins because their mothers are sisters. So if you ship them that would be incest. Adding this last minute. Upon my research for this video I saw someone on Twitter say that maybe Felix created the Red Moon to be his sister. And that's why it hit extra hard when he killed her, because she was actually his sister. To that I say, that's actually genius? Like I can't believe I never thought of that. It would make this scene even deeper and more devastating than it already is if he was actually killing his sister for real. Mind you, a sister who's not human, but he can still relate to, as a human himself, because he was never treated like a human. That's such good symbolism, to be honest. The Red Moon is just Felix's moon. Except the Red Moon didn't live long enough to experience as much as Felix did to cause him to become the way he is. End of parentheses. What the hell makes Felix and Kagami incest? Last time I checked they are of different race and their parents got nothing to do with each other. Like unless Cold Fathom is Kagami's father too, I don't know. That would be the only way it would be incest. But that's not possible either because Kagami is not mixed. Like it's crazy how the misinterpretation of one line can make the whole fandom rage over a ship like that. If you think they're incest because he called Red Moon sister, you didn't understand why he called her sister. It's actually so funny to think people actually believe Felix saw that moon as his actual sister. Let me ask you this, if I call y'all sisters, does it mean you're actually my sisters? That's not how it works, baby. When we all call each other brothers and sisters, do we actually mean it? Are we all really incestuous beings? Girl, bye. Let's go back to the scene that started this and see what really happened. I've made a whole video on how Red Moon stigmatized Felix, but we need to go over it again, I guess. So Felix is crying on this roof because he was tricked into believing he lost control of his powers and realized he fucked up the relationship he wanted to fix even further. Red Moon was the incarnation of his pain and anger that brought him to fucking up, and he understood that he needs to let go of that anger to move on and heal. Destroying that anger means destroying Red Moon, you know, symbolic. So before destroying her he wanted to calm her down, and that's why he called her sister. It was a term of endearment and not of familial love like some of you thought. Like, oh, Felix called her sister so that means he's a senti too, so they're related. Well no. Calling her that doesn't mean they're siblings because they're literally not related in the slightest. Girl, that's a human and a moon. I wonder what y'all would be saying if Felix called Red Moon his daughter instead. Honestly that would make sense because he created her just like his father created him. Now you know why he called her sister, but I'm just asking because y'all take everything so literally. Oh, he called her his daughter, so Kagami must be his daughter too because they're both sentis. Like what? Also, saying feligami is incest implies you think that every ship with two sentis is incest, including adrigamy, which may I remind you was also canon. And Sentibug almost kissed Chat Noir, so basically you're saying the show endorses incest. If that's the hill you wanna die on, okay. By that logic, is Nathali x Gabriel also incest? Because they're both human? Just like feligami is apparently incest because they're both sentis? Now see how stupid you sound. This is why context clues are important, because you just heard this kid call the moon sister and ran with it. Like I said, y'all must be watching this show on mute and with your eyes closed because they made a whole ass episode on senti-human humanity and acknowledging that humanity, and it went over your head. Like it never happened. Senti Bug didn't die for nothing. Keep spreading her message. Like, don't piss me off. What are you people coming up with just to deem something as problematic for fun? I'm convinced y'all don't actually believe that shit either, because what the fuck? If you think feligami is weird because they're quote unquote incest in your head, you're the weirdo. Done debunking the crazy ass incest shit. Not Felix or Kagami's fault, y'all are weird as hell. Next, feligami trauma bond. Another crazy ass take that never made sense to me. At first I thought they meant shared trauma but mixed it up with the term trauma bond because there's been a history of people misinterpreting that term and not looking it up before using it. But no, it's a real take that they got. It's crazy. I can't even begin to explain to you how tired I am. Oh, Felix is her kidnapper and she fell for him, so feligami equals Stockholm Syndrome. I will shoot you in the ass. So Felix spied on her after the diamonds dance. Because he knew she was a senti and thought the best way to get to know her was through watching her. Is that creepy? Well, yes. Is it even creepier to assume that he spied on her while doing shit that you need privacy for, like showering? Well, yes, but why would you think that in the first place? Who's to say he didn't spy on her to make sure her mother doesn't beat her up? But intention doesn't matter, it's still creepy. Well, yes. But it's better than the shit they pulled with Marinette, at least like that's a start. Now Miraculous has a problem with characters being creepy with their love interests, so this is nothing new. The difference with Marinette and Felix being creepy with their love interests is Marinette got rewarded for it while Felix was called out and rewarded for it. Unlike Marinette, who's done lots of creepy shit that was presented as quirky and is not sheltered or socially inept to say, oh, maybe this is why she did it. Like, at least they're presenting what he did as creepy and aren't trying to pass it off as cute and quirky. They let you know this is bad and you shouldn't stalk your crush. I wish they said this with Marinette too, after making her learn Adrien's schedule by heart for the next 15 years and made her break into his house and sniff his bed. I know this discussion will make some of you mad, so moving on. Felix killed Kagami's mom and kidnapped her from her mother, so their relationship is abusive. Oh. Let's rewatch Emotion and Pretension quickly. Because y'all are running out of shit to be mad about. Name one person Felix killed at the end of Emotion. Exactly. No one. Nobody died in that episode, they were just chilling in the void for a few minutes, that's it. Honestly, I think we all need to chill in the void for a bit and do nothing. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Like, I really wish he killed that bitch Tomoe. If he killed her, what the hell is she doing in every episode after Emotion? Is that her ghost? Let's not act stupid now. Killing abusers is what everyone should do. Thank you, Felix. As for the kidnapping, yet another exaggerated gag, I guess. Because if you wanted to help your crush whose mother is abusive in real life, you wouldn't steal them from the car they're sitting in with said mother. Right? Kagami doesn't know she's better off emotionally without her mother and doesn't think to ask for help. She's trapped just like she was trapped in that car with her. But Felix took her away from the abusive situation. Realistically, he should have reached her literally any other way that's not picking her up and hiding her from her mother, but what would he know about realistic when he was trained his whole life to accept the worst and to protect himself in whatever way he can? Like, of course he wasn't expecting a whole tantrum from Tomoe on a Tuesday afternoon, all because Kagami doesn't want her to falsely present her and Adrien as a couple to the public. Are y'all serious? That's Kagami and Tomoe in the car, and Tomoe is mentally and psychologically abusing her daughter by gaslighting her to think she still likes Adrien despite her saying she is getting over it and wants her best friends happy together. And that she shouldn't lie to the public that she's dating Adrien because that's simply not the case. Tomoe calls her a slave to her emotions and that if she can't control her emotions she can't control shit. All this manipulation and talk of controlling emotions triggered Felix's fight or flight response, and his first thought was to take Kagami away from the abusive environment. And did. And nobody was harmed. Kagami was much safer with Felix, whose autistic gaze bewitched her immediately, than she would be if she stayed in that car. Saved her some pain. And got her amok so she won't be controlled like a puppet. Honestly, the entire reason Felix wanted to get to Kagami in the first place after Emotion probably was to get her amok, since he knew that because she was starting to rebel against her mother for once, it was a matter of time until Tomoe got the amok back and controlled her with it. Like, of course, a senti with an abusive parent having their own amok in their hands was too good to be true, and he knew that. He trusted his instruct and ended up right. Kagami would be Tomo's soulless doll if Felix hadn't stepped in. Just a reminder. Like, why are you Felix aunties mad that he saved Kagami from her abusive mother? Damn sorry he saved Kagami from a round of psychological torture from her abusive mother he shouldn't have. Saying with full confidence that taking Kagami away from her abusive mother for a few minutes is abuse is crazy. Like, you wanna villainize him that bad? Maybe it's time for a job, baby, I don't know. Why are you mad she doesn't think he's a freak, Ijbal? At the end of the day, he helped Kagami by letting her know she's not alone and can get help, and even got her mother a fake ring with no amok to make her think she's under control, but in reality Kagami can be her own person. Why is this such a difficult concept to grasp for some people? The entire point of Felix's character is to free the senti kids from their abusive parents because nobody saved him from his own. And you want to talk about his relationship with Kagami being abusive when he encourages her to be her own person and continue her legacy with her own choices? Even you don't believe that. How the hell does that work? Like, what about supporting and humanizing her after getting dehumanized by her mother her whole life is abusive? I don't get it. These are the same people who never talk about how abusive Tomoe is too. Like, where are the lashings for her? Nowhere to be seen. Turning a blind eye when Tomoe uses practice to beat her daughter the fuck up but whack the teenage kid for taking her away from that? Okay. If you think feligami is abusive, you're the weirdo, I'll say it again. Next. Kagami hasn't moved on from Adrien and is dating Felix because he looks like Adrien. This is such a stupid take, I can't even take it seriously. If you think this, you're just letting us know you're a shallow ass bitch. Like, if after all the context clues you still think the only reason she dated him is because he looks like Adrien, especially after the car scene, I got news for you. For one, Kagami had an idea of Adrien in her head when she first met him that didn't correlate with how he really is. When she realized that, she tried to convince him he's not that. But you can't force people to change to fit your standards, and she understood that. After she saw that it wouldn't work out anyways because he was constantly running off and lying to her. That's the opposite of what Felix is. Just like her, he would lie to have more time with her. He is literally the idea of Adrien that she had in her head before she got to know him better. If he wasn't, she would have no reason to be with him. His autistic gaze attracted her the way Adrien never could. Dan, what car scene are you talking about? The car scene in Pretension before Felix shows up. The whole deal was, Kagami is moving on from Adrien, and throughout season 5 Tomoe and Gabriel have been trying to get their kids to date for PR purposes. So Tomoe keeps putting these idea in her head that she still likes Adrien, that they're perfect together, and that's the way it should be. Even though she knows that's not true, her mother has raised her to be obedient, so she can't object. But this is where her development gets in the way of being perfect like Tomoe wants her to be. She doesn't want Adrien, and she knows it. Also, I wanted to talk about her line that says, I have some feelings I can't always understand. That's exactly what I mean when I say she's been over him, but Tomoe doesn't allow her to express that. It doesn't even have to do with senti orders, it's literally just good old manipulation the way Tomoe does it. So no, Kagami is not dating Felix as a replacement for Adrien because Adrien left nothing to replace. Adrien was attracted to her but only as a friend and didn't realize that himself, so he dated her despite that feeling, which is a very teenage kid thing to do. Speaking from experience. But that is not the case with Felix. Next. Kagami's character was ruined/changed to date Felix. This is what people who don't understand Kagami's character say. I don't know where y'all saw the 180 change, but Kagami's character has always been about her defying perfection and dealing with her emotions when she's been raised to ignore them to fit her mother's standards of what perfect is. And now that she feels them, she shouldn't ignore them but talk about them. That's exactly what she's doing now. She's grown as a person throughout the seasons, has learned to deal with jealousy, anger, etc., even if she spirals out of control like in Perfection because her black and white thinking doesn't allow her to think of other possibilities. Kagami has always been an emotional character. I don't know why some people act like she's not. Because she's less reserved and closed off now, y'all think she's not the Kagami you knew? Don't piss me off, you don't know her at all. I was there when the hate train started, by the way. I was freaking out trying to understand what the hell she did to get people that mad, and to this day I still don't get it. I think it's just racism, to be honest. Like, what do you mean she's getting in the way of your ship? There is no ship to get in between. Notice how Luca didn't get the same lashings exactly. All he got was fuck the blueberry boy while Kagami was getting racist slurs. Don't think I didn't witness why all's 180 changed to Kagami quote-unquote fans. Moral of the story, y'all clearly don't know Kagami's character. Sorry she's not friendless anymore. Couldn't be you. Maybe y'all just relate to her friendless season 2 self too much and can't accept that she's better now that she's opened up to people. Another one. She's trusting Felix with Ladybug's identity, who betrayed her. Hey Marinette, are you Ladybug? Oh no, I'm not. This is how I imagine it would go realistically. That's why she didn't talk about it with Marinette. No, Kagami was not out of character to trust Felix with her identity since she wants to help him with this mission to save herself and Adrien from their abusive ass parents. Up until he told her that's what he wants to do, she hadn't even realized she needs help and that her mother is ass. She just thought that's how it needs to be. She needs to be perfect all the time. No baby, you don't have to be because you're human and humans are not perfect. Don't let this bitch take your humanity away from you. That's feligami summed up. Last one. Now this is the biggest controversy with feligami, I think, and it has to do with Felix. Surprisingly though, not feligami Auntie's first complaint? Interesting. Of course I'm talking about that one scene in Felix which means Kagami is dating her friend's assaulter. This is the only one I can't defend because we're talking about the scene that has no business being in that episode in the first place. And that isn't say victim myself is just a piece of mockery because it was so half-assed. Like, I fucking hate when Miraculous tries to touch on sensitive topics like SA or racism and they fail miserably at executing that because they half-ass it and simply can't give it the respect they should. I don't know why no one's whacked them for this scene. Because it's so out of time and place and it just happened with no warning or explanation and it was never brought up again. This is the original script for this episode, by the way. This was supposed to be the roof scene where in the final version Felix tries to kiss Ladybug. Notice how they slapped that in last minute? Exactly. This was an afterthought and their attempt to have a saw moment, but it failed so hard and at the end of the day nobody even remembers this happened. Like, notice how every time someone lists all the mature themes in Miraculous and brings up SA, people wonder where the hell the SA was? Exactly. By not bringing it up ever again, the writers defeated the purpose of including that scene in the first place. If you're going to talk about topics like that, either go all the way with them and actually talk about them or don't. Same thing with Killin. Don't jump around it cutely. Like, this is the biggest flaw in Felix's character and I'm not sure what the writers were thinking slapping that in last minute in his introduction episode. It could have been any other character. Maybe one that's meant to be twisted evil and have zero good in them so it can make sense instead of a child? That's all I have to say about this. Conclusion. Let feligami the autistic kids be in love. Thank you for listening to my feligami support video plus a small rant.
Oh shit! I'm so sorry! What have I done? I'm so sorry!
I can't feel my
Oh
kid.
crap! I have the tiger sting like to be, guys. I have bad nerves. I'm so sorry. Feel better, okay?